Hi everybody, it's New Jersey Garden, and as promised, here is another video showing you my lilac bushes. I have 3 lilac bushes in the yard. They were all purchased at the same time, and I believe I got them at Lowe's about 5 years ago. And it took 2 to 3 years for the blooms to show up on the lilacs. It takes a really long time for them to get established. And they have a great scent. These are called Sensation Lilac. They're resistant to powdery mildew. And they have a reddish purple flower with white edging. And the scent is similar to like the heirloom French lilac. And what's nice is once the lilac blooms have died, the foliage is really nice throughout the summer. And I wanted to explain that it's best to prune your lilacs right after they bloom. And I had an experience with this a couple years ago where I had pruned my lilacs, and I can show this in a future video how I prune them. But I had pruned them, and then I decided that I wanted this plant to be a little shorter, so I went in later in the summer, like in late August, and I pruned the top part of the plant. And the following spring I got no blooms at the top of the plant where I had pruned much later in the season. So I did get blooms, throughout the plant other than the top. So it's best to prune your lilac right after they bloom because they set the buds for next year's blooms in the few weeks after they bloom in the spring. So I'll do a video just showing you how I prune the lilac in the future. But this particular lilac shrub has gotten quite large. It's really close to the house. I probably shouldn't have planted it so close to the house, but we do enjoy the scent and the flowers are beautiful. I'll do a close-up showing you some of the flower petals. And I'll show you my 2 other lilac bushes and how they differ. So this is my second out of my 3rd lilac shrub, and I did not prune this at all in the last few years just because I just didn't have the time, and it's by an old shed, and for some reason I just don't garden very much over in this part of the yard. So I let this one go, and it did get nibbled on a little bit this winter by deer. It definitely needs a pruning. It's a little bit of a mess. And as you can see, there's not as many blooms on this plant, and it's taller, a lot taller than the other one by maybe 5 or 6 feet. And it's just looking really scraggly. So I do recommend that you prune your lilacs for a nice shape. There's a really big difference between this bush and the other one that I had just shown you. So I can, get this one to look a little better by pruning it properly in a few weeks. And then I'll show you my 3rd lilac shrub and tell you the story of what happened to that one. This is the 3rd lilac shrub that I had purchased at the same time as the other 2. As you can see, it's really struggling, and the reason for that is it almost died on me. I had moved it in August the year following the year that I purchased it, and I thought it had cooled off enough for me to do a proper transplant, and I ended up being gone for the weekend, and it was super hot after I transplanted it, and it just didn't get enough water, so it almost died. And I learned my lesson not to transplant a shrub or anything really in the heat. So I learned from my mistake, and this thing almost died, and I have been pruning it the last couple of years just to keep it I wanted to produce more lower shoots, so I've been pruning the top of it just to create more shoots at the base, because I do want this to come back, and it may not bloom next year, but hopefully the following year it will bloom. So I just wanted to show you what can happen if you try to transplant your lilac and not water it enough. It really needs a ton of water if you move it or if you first plant it. It's normally a drought resistant plant, but in the beginning it needs a ton of water. So let's go back and take a look at the nicest lilac shrub. So I just wanted to show you again the nice shape of this pruned Sensation Lilac. It has a really nice shape. It's very full and rounded because I've been pruning it. And it has so many blooms, and I believe the reason that for this, the volume of blooms is it's in the sun. It does require full sun. So this is in a very sunny spot, but I also think that pruning it has really helped create all these blooms. The scent is really nice. It's about 10 feet tall right now, and I like this height. I don't really want it to get too much taller. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe, and have a great weekend.